We have some really interesting Pixel 7 news for you today, alongside a pretty incredible tidbit about an out-and-out, top-tier, all-in Pixel model that could reignite the interest in a long-rumoured device. Yes, we're talking about what could be a potential Pixel Ultra. Thanks for watching 9to5Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. Let's talk regular Pixel 7 and 7 Pro first, as this is interesting but less interesting and important nonetheless. With the Pixel 6 generation, Google's phones took a big step forward, bringing their top of the line option from 90Hz to 120Hz, at least in a display specifications point. This generation also marked the first use of a curved display for the Pixel series. Both the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro use relatively recent Samsung displays, and although we're outclassed by the recent S22 series and actually the S21 series, they're still pretty darn good, as most Pixel displays have been previously. As of Google I/O 2022, where Google revealed its full lineup of Android devices out into 2023, or most of it anyway, more on that in a little bit, we know quite a bit about the upcoming Pixel 7 and 7 Pro. We've seen how the two phones will refine the iconic design of a Pixel 6 series, as well as a little bit of how the internal hardware will step things up from the debut Google Tensor chip to the second generation version of that processor. That said, there's still quite a bit about the Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro that Google hasn't yet shared or detailed, including the internal specs or even what the fronts of the phones will look like. On that latter front, we've discovered code in the Android open source project that reveals the displays being used on the Pixel 7 series, and it's interesting to say the least. So more specifically on those displays, we find that Google has created two new display drivers, one tagged with C10 and the other tagged with P10, which we know to be shorthand versions of the Cheetah and Panther codenames for the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro respectively. Thanks to these files, we now have a fairly precise display specification for each next generation Pixel phone. The smaller Pixel 7 will feature a 1080 by 2400 pixel display, which is capable of running at up to 90Hz, while the Pixel 7 Pro will have a 1440 by 3120 pixel display that can manage a 120Hz refresh rate. If these specifications seem familiar, that's because it's identical to what was offered on last year's Pixel 6 series, and that's absolutely no coincidence, as current indications in the code point to the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro using the exact same Samsung panels, the S6E3 FC3 and the S6E3 HC3 respectively, much like its predecessors. On the one hand, this is a bit disappointing, as it means we can't expect much of an improvement in the displays versus last year's phones. That said, there are still some changes in store that should help improve the experience overall. The most obvious of these is that the Pixel 7 is set to be a touch smaller than the Pixel 6, and the display will reflect that, being 1mm narrower and 2mm shorter, with its not substantial change by any means. Meanwhile, the Pixel 7 Pro's display is unchanged in size compared to the Pixel 6 Pro. And now here's where some notable changes are coming though. The Pixel 7 Pro appears to be gaining a native 1080p mode for its display. We believe that this could be used to let Android conserve power by rendering everything on screen at 1080p and letting the panel's DDIC scaling convert it to 1440p. While this is certainly it won't be as pleasant to look at, it's likely that this is intended to be an optional way to reduce battery usage, perhaps as part of a low power mode. Samsung and other OEMs have adopted similar scaling options for battery saving, so it's a nice option to see come to the Pixel series finally. Notably, it's possible though that the Pixel 7 Pro might get a slight hardware improvement to its display, as Google has been working to support a nearly identical display alongside the one specifically marked for C10. The display carries a model number S6E3HC4 and may be one generation newer. For now though, there's no indication as to whether this will actually appear on the Pixel 7 Pro, but the near identical feature set leaves that possibility open. Overall, these newly uncovered display specs though seem to further the idea that the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro will be more iterative entries, at least in the hardware department. Our leading theory is that Google is beginning a sort of tick-tock release cycle for the Pixel series going forward, but only time will tell. So that's the displays out of the way. Now, let's go on to that infinitely more interesting tidbit, In the addition to the Panther or Pixel 7 and Cheetah or Pixel 7 Pro codenames for the 2022 Pixel generation, we've also been able to confirm two other feline device codenames, Felix and Lynx, and these two should be the Pixel 7a and another unknown device. A simple solution that this could be a device, or at least this device is a possible version of the again delayed Pixel Notepad running second generation Tensor hardware. Alongside the work of the new displays for C10 and P10 though, we've also found that Google has been preparing support for a completely different display, which has been tagged G10. So far we've not uncovered any Pixel related codenames that begin with the letter G, which makes this an interesting mystery, or at least an interesting mystery to try and puzzle out. For starters, we know that this G10 device must obviously run on Android, and judging from all of the references to Exynos, it should be powered by a Tensor chip. This suggests that we may be looking at a Pixel device of some sort. This G10 doesn't seem to be part of the Pixel A series, as it's capable of running at 120Hz, just like the Pixel 6 Pro. In fact, the display of the G10, despite being made by BOE, a Chinese display OEM, sometimes used by Apple instead of Samsung, has identical core specs of the Pixel 6 Pro, including a 1440 by 3120 resolution, 120Hz refresh rate, and 75 by 155mm physical size. The resolution and size also eliminate the possibility that it is the Pixel tablet releasing in 2023, if some of you were thinking that it was that device. For the limited clues that we have, G10 seems awfully similar to the Pixel 6 and 7 Pro, but unfortunately leaves us no closer to solving the mystery of where a high-end device like the G10 would fit into the Made by Google lineup. And that's a really intriguing product that we're sure might set alight the Pixel Ultra rumour mill going again almost 4 years after it first appeared. I gotta say, I'm personally really excited to learn more about this mystery device, and I actually want to know if you have any theories of your own. Feel free to put them down in the comment sections below, and we really do have to consider where the heck Google is going to fit this device into their lineup. Could it be a Pro or a Pro Plus model? It's all wild theories, put them down below. Really want to know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this look at some tidbits on the Pixel 7 series and potentially an extra surprise. Maybe Pixel Ultra model we're finally going to get the device that people have wanted for such a long time. As always though, this is Damien with 95Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.